Camden Falls Gallery, August 8th, 2019. Paul Garnett with the second delivery today. The HMS Pandora, 1790. And something I've always been happy that I've been just on the outside reach of, and that is the long arm of the law. The Pandora is here, as well as Paul. Paul, some explanation, please.
Hey, Howard, this is the 24-gun frigate Pandora, leaving Portsmouth Harbor in England in 1790. She was the ship that was appointed by the Admiralty to take a trip to the South Seas to try to round up all the Bounty mutineers that took that ship from Lieutenant William Bligh in 1787.
So there's the long arm of the law, huh?
That's the long arm of the law, hence the title of the painting. And she was a ship that was used to be a bigger frigate, and they cut her down, called raisee, is what they used to call that.
Is that cutting down the deck level or cutting in on the transom?
They cut down the deck level. There was another poop deck up at the top with 6 more guns.
Gotcha.
3 on each side.
Yep.
And they cut that down. And she went to the South Seas under the command of Captain Edwards, and was flopping around all over the place down there, looking for any clues of where the Bounty might have gone. And the only thing they found in their whole 2 years that they were gone was a driver yard that had it carved into it, Bounty's driver yard. So it was evidently either lost in weather or thrown over the side by the mutineers to lighten the ship. They finally thought that they were going to connect with them when they were going through the Barrier Reef, and Edwards misjudged where they were sailing, and they ended up with the back end of the ship where the rudder is fast on a reef, and they couldn't get off, and weather was coming in, and the rudder got pounded to pieces, the stern opened up and took in water, and everybody was trapped on this ship that they just couldn't get anywhere on. And they had on the poop deck, not there in this painting because they hadn't built it yet, but once they did find a dozen of the mutineers, they built a big box on the stern, which came to be known as Pandora's box.
I've got you. Now I can see the open area there, where they would have built the box.
Yes. Yeah. And that was a big box. It was 8 feet by 12 feet running across the deck. And all the men were in there with just a 12-inch by 8-inch scuttle to get air in. They said it was so hot that sweat was running in rivulets through the scuppers. And they just barely got out of there before the ship went down, because an officer took pity on them and unlatched the hatch, and they got all of them out except one guy who wasn't able to get out of his chains in time, and he went down with her. They made their way to this small little sand spit on the Barrier Reef, took stock of the supplies they had, and took a voyage just like Bligh did in his open boat, except they had 3 ships' boats, and they had everyone in there, including the prisoners, and they went to the same place in Timor in the Dutch East Indies, where Bligh went, and then got passage back to England. But it was a terrible thing, the loss of 2 Royal Navy ships, the loss of life, and nothing really resolved from the whole thing.
And there's the HMS Pandora, 1790.
Yep, that's her.
Thank you again, Paul.
Thank you, Howard.